Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically we are discussing one of the topic that is city creation. City creation basically we are discussing one of the topic that is India account. So one of the person to like this everything basically fight basically everything is going for what basically that is the question actually. So one person told that basically. Nowadays basically the human needs are created from where basically cities and cities are equal to human needs creation energies that is the chemical basically one say and from chemical basically you creates the human needs that is the vegetables potato basically can be created from chemicals basically like that basically petrol can be created from chemicals basically. So one of the percentage this is the main thing basically and this is the income only basically and this is the income also basically you can say. This is the income also basically you can say. So the businessman basically wants to take over everything basically. But that basically one person basically can't do everything basically. One person basically can't do everything. So he basically divides the stuff basically. For example, in India basically there are many software companies basically who are handling the softwares. For example, eClearX is there, Oracle is there, Accenture is there, then the PHP is there, then the Python is there, then the Microsoft is there, then the Patri is there, then the Accenture, Capgemini. These all are the companies basically. BMC. These are the big level companies basically who basically are doing the software development stuff basically. So these all are the companies basically who have the authority to create the softwares. And this all company basically creates the softwares basically. So one other person told that nowadays basically from software basically you are creating the human needs. That is the stuff basically. And for that basically we have done lots of videos basically. I have uploaded lots of videos for this basically. How basically it get creates, up to what level things are basically there, this, that, each and everything basically. One person basically told that basically. Why basically nuclear bomb basically has to dump? One other person told that. So one person told that if universe group basically everybody knows that basically human, for example 900 crore population is the world population, they all are connected with the universe group basically. Their all bodies are connected with the universe group. For example, A blood group, B blood group, like this basically it's divided also basically. So here one person told that what is the easiest way basically. So one person told that in this world basically there are many god basically created. So universe group just basically have to access their energy basically. They don't have to access the whole world energy basically. But in God basically the bad people basically are not allowed basically. If one person basically is bad, then basically they don't allow him to enter basically. They say that basically ये अच्छा लड़का नहीं, he is not good person basically, so we will not allow that person. But in temple basically you can't do that like that basically. Because God never told that basically. Even basically the Valmiki story see basically one person basically Valmiki what he was basically, but he has written what basically. So that example also basically somebody has displayed in front of the world basically. So that is basically one stuff. So one of the person told that God basically are connected with the each and every people, and universe group basically are just supposed to access the God data. They are basically staying somewhere basically. They just need to access that data only basically. That's all basically. And in that basically some problem basically occurred. and to break that chain basically, because the sequence basically is like this: human bodies are connected with environment. Environments are settled by the power companies, energy company, and and the nuclear power companies. Nuclear power companies are connected with energy company and power companies. So human body basically now are not directly connected with the nuclear power company. Human bodies are not connected with the satellite company directly. So they have to, and nuclear power company are connected with the cities basically. They are connected with the cities. Connected with the city means they takes the data from cities and send the data to each and every people basically. How? For example, Vadodara city creates potato and tomato from Vadodara city energy. So when they will access the energy of the Vadodara city, that time basically, for example, Vadodara tomato and potato basically are used in America. So they will have to send the nuclear power company need to they basically collects the data from Vadodara city, and they basically sends the data to the America, so that basically whatever people basically had the potato and tomato, they get the energy basically. Otherwise basically it will create problem and it will basically gets disease generation basically. Some people basically gets ill, some people basically gets bima, some people basically gets sardi, some people basically gets headache. That is the good thing basically, they have not generated as a permanent blood cells basically, it's a temporary blood cells. If permanent blood cells basically you will generate, then basically directly heart attack basically, and it's very dangerous basically. For example, tomato and potato basically is produced by Vadodara city. Suddenly something basically happened in Vadodara city. So when basically the nuclear power company is going to collect the data as from the Vadodara city as a Vadodara energy basically, it will not display basically. It will not get. Why? Because Vadodara city had destroyed by some, assume that basically some, due to some basically something happened basically, and due to that basically something basically got destroyed. Vadodara city. Then when basically the nuclear power company tried to access the Vadodara city, that time basically he was not able to. So now what will happen? If Vadodara city has basically tomato and potato basically has used as a permanent blood cells, then people basically who are had the, for example, 5 crore people basically had the potato and Vadodara, potato and tomato, they will get heart attack basically. That's why basically nobody creates tomato and potato. How basically you will check this basically? One of the person told how you will check that. Assume that basically potato and tomato basically generates uh, good English communication energy. So whenever you will have tomato and potato of Vadodara city, basically your English basically becomes very fluent basically. Like this basically you will see that basically more very fast basically you are speaking the English very frequently, very in good way basically you are speaking the English. Fluent basically you can say. Fluent is also basically one of the word basically. But when you will have the Vadodara potato and tomato energy basically, you will consume that from I'm talking about the American people basically. Why basically American English is so fluently basically? Pronunciation basically, how basically Americans English basically are like that. Why? Because they have the human needs up to that level basically. Their human needs are basically up to that level. Their water basically are up to that level basically. That's why basically. Otherwise Indian people basically can also speak like that basically. Why? But their human needs basically are totally different basically. So from the person to that. So for that, assume that basically the human needs basically they were eating, they suddenly stopped. So slowly basically the frequent English basically will get down basically. But English will be there basically. But not frequent. So permanent blood cells basically it's very dangerous. So one of the person told that water basically which you are having, that is a permanent blood cells. But C is also there basically. As in that basically Bangalore people basically is not having water. So any disease is going to happen to them basically. No, why? C is there basically. Sea water basically is there present in the Earth planet basically. So that's why basically they will never get the big level disease. Otherwise basically it will convert to big level disease basically. Few people say that stone is the disease, this, that basically. Not stone basically. Some big level disease basically. But it will not happen. Why? Because sea water basically is there in Earth planet. So that's why basically they will never get big level disease. They will never get big level disease. So they will never get big level disease. So another person told that that's very dangerous basically. So here what is the thing basically which we are discussing? Energy company, power company collects the data as in something basically got and city got and they basically collected that data and that basically created problem. As in that basically the city which was collecting the data basically that was permanent blood cells. Then basically you have to do lots of manipulation basically. But here basically what is why basically the area has to clear basically because city basically if you have created basically you can't do the major change basically. You can do some little bit modification. That's why basically the people are basically who are into the red light cars basically they basically gets full tight security basically and they basically are into good level stuff basically. That's why they are getting good respect basically. Otherwise basically why they should get good respect because they are into the city creation basically. And city once created then basically you can't do the major modification basically. If you feel that basically that city basically got created and that basically got problem then basically you have to finish that city only basically because that city might create problem to whole world basically if they are using that human needs which is created. So one of the person told the software company who say that basically we are running in 1 lakh crore 2 lakh crore but see the risk factor also. So the people who are into the software industry who say that basically we have created this software and from this software basically we are creating this that basically it's a huge risk factor basically because it might possible that something got disaster from the human needs basically which they were creating then basically that's end of that software company basically because on the base of that human need only basically they were having the human needs basically. One day income basically you can say it's a huge crores of income basically are there from the one software basically. So you can just imagine basically. So here thing is basically what God basically are accessed by the data basically that is the from universe. And if God gets problem basically then universe doctor basically they basically will do nothing basically they will just clear the city only basically. They will do nothing basically they will just clear the city that is through big level earthquakes and tsunami. By chance basically if somebody told that basically due to that city na basically thousands of city was basically dependent city dependency was basically there means due to that city thousand city was getting something basically from that data and that city ended so thousand city ended. So one of the person told that it's very dangerous to create city that is dangerous and more danger is creating the human needs basically. More danger is to create the human needs. So one of the person told that like this basically the software companies are creating right basically. So one of the person told that they basically don't want you into that basically. They basically don't want you basically into that basically. Some one person told that also. the people basically who are earning basically money, they are contributing in the human needs creation, and who are basically not earning money, they are basically not contributing in the human needs creation basically. So another person told that who basically fired you basically due to that basically you are not getting any of the interview calls. That group basically has done that type of activities that basically you are not getting the any of the job basically, any of the job, and you are basically into the software industry. So something basically has happened in the software basically. And you have a good knowledge also basically in software basically. It's not like that basically you don't have a knowledge also, you have a good knowledge. Even basically the big software company basically owner basically also don't have this much knowledge basically. That type of knowledge also basically you have. That is also thing basically. Assume that basically in your near body basically, head is there, leg is there, hand is there, heart is there, everywhere basically the nuclear the energy is there. In your near sound also basically energies are basically there. So one person told that basically, who basically takes care of this everything. One person told that if you will have this type of all food basically, it's good for brain. If you will have this type of foods, it's good for hand. If you will have this type of water, then it's good for leg. If you will have this type of water, then it's good for hand. If you will have this type of water, then basically it's good for head. Is if you are eating this type of water, sorry, drinking this type of water, then basically it's good for head. So like this, each and every things are basically connected. So one other person told that this all basically comes into the accounts of India. For example, I will take one example. One person told that basically, "Arey yaar, that people basically suddenly basically in America na basically few people basically got ill basically. Few people basically got ill. So just see up to what dangerous thing basically are basically. Up to what level dangerous things are basically. They immediately basically told that basically this is the blood cells, and that due to that blood cells basically they had some tomato and potato, and the tomato and potato basically they immediately tracked also that tomato, because it's America basically, it's a fully digital world basically. So they told that basically this this tomato and potato basically was created from this nuclear power plant, and then they basically immediately informed the data. So you can just imagine hospitals are connected with the nuclear energies. So the nuclear energy basically told that basically we have collected the data from this power company and energy company. They basically passed the data to power company and energy company. Energy company again told that basically this data basically we have collected from this city. They basically given the data to the nuclear power company that this was the Vadodara, this was the city, and they basically given the data to the hospital and told that basically this was the city basically, from that this potato and tomato basically was created. So they immediately told that basically what is the alternative of this basically. One person told that you have to basically give the antibiotic, and antibiotic is what basically. One of the person told that what actually the antibiotic is. One of the person told that basically in real language what is antibiotic. So one person told the antibiotic means antibiotic. You basically when you give antibiotic, the cells basically gets normal basically according to that body temperature basically. Whatever number is given by the doctor industry, that number basically is supposed to be normal. So few people told that basically few country basically are very dangerous basically. They do, you know what they do? They basically replace the existing tomato and potato energy with their potato and energy basically. Data basically I'm telling you. That is the medicine basically specially created to override the tomato and potato energy and they basically do that. If they get that basically get success, then that data basically they pass to the Vadodara city. That data basically they pass to the Vadodara city. They basically pass the data to Vadodara city. They pass the data to Vadodara city. One person told that what they will be going to do to passing the Vadodara city. They told that basically due to this all data basically that was that basically got that problem basically got created. So one person told that basically we are not able to understand the thing basically. Vadodara city got created. Some basically in area basically assume that basically in some Alkapuri area or some Kotri area or some Gorova area, some building basically got damaged. Damage means that building also only got ended basically. Due to that end basically when the tomato and potato and that basically was using tomato and potato also basically energy. Tomato group and potato group basically was using that energy also. Now basically they told that basically that data basically was the building basically got damaged and that basically got down due to some reason basically. They were not able to they basically give the why basically that building basically was damaged, that case basically they give to some certain departments. That is basically now basically when the power company purchased purchase also you can say purchase the power data from Vadodara city of for that basically tomato and potato that got ill basically, and they basically overwrite in the tomato and potato data. That data basically got processed, they basically got clear from the illness basically, and that the body basically got perfectly fine. That data basically was collected by the doctor industry, that is the hospitals. They given back to the nuclear power company, nuclear to power company to Vadodara city. That this was the reason basically why that building was damaged. So you can just imagine basically. Assume that that tomato and potato basically was only used in America. If it's getting used in Europe, Germany, Dubai, this that, then all data basically have to collect and send to the Vadodara city. After perfect blood cells has created. So you can just imagine the departments basically up to what level they are connected. So this type of thing basically you can't get in education basically. So that's why few people says that basically you have to recreate the education basically. Every time basically you can't use the in India account basically every time basically you can't use the people who are died basically. Chartered accountant people are also basically there basically. So you have to rewrite the education sector according to this everything basically. If one normal person basically can think basically up to that level, so the chartered accountant group and the entire education industry also, that is the education ministry also, they also might have thought this long before basically. That is also good question basically. If the normal person basically like myself, I am basically BCom person basically, plus 22 years of software industry experience and currently not working. If I can think up to this level, then the education ministry and the other group basically are into the education sector, they might have thought this long before na basically. This is the best example of the department basically, how they are basically connected with each other. The damaged building, why that was damaged, that data also basically they have passed. You can just imagine basically each and every buildings basically connected with the each and every areas basically, each and every human needs. That's why basically the tax department plays important role basically. So one of the person told that the Vadodara city is getting so much of income, but you are basically not getting, and you are basically staying in Vadodara city. And you are basically staying in Vadodara city. So here again basically topic came to Sunil R. Nair basically is not getting job in software companies. That is basically you have applied in eClearX, you have applied in Oracle, you have applied in Accenture, you have applied in Capgemini you have applied in, Patni you have applied in, Oracle you have applied in, Microsoft you have applied in, PHP you have applied in, Python you have applied in, Allscript you have applied in, Rishabh you have applied in, Rangam Infotech you have applied in, BMC you have applied in, Patni Computer you have applied in, eClerex you have applied in, Emphasis. Then also basically you are not getting the job after having this much good knowledge. Even basically the big software company also basically will say that basically we also don't know this whole thing, basically just now basically you discussed. So next video basically we are going to see little bit more about this topic. Basically just now basically I have discussed, that is the India account. Why basically India account is like this? The person basically who is having the good knowledge, he is basically not getting the job, and why basically. And having the good knowledge, having the everything basically good, and applied for this whole company, basically the software company is not giving the job. So why the India account is like this? So in next video basically we are going to see little bit more about the India Hindustan account.